Hey, it's Dan, and welcome to Unified Gaming. So, you're after a sniper that actually works, a Bowgank. Well, this does. This is the Sorcerer Bowgank. It hits stupidly hard, as you'll see here, 30,000 health, and it's gone. It stuns from stealth, it has crazy range, it's got great sustain, great mobility. If you've played the Nightblade version that's on the channel, this is an upgrade. It is a Sorcerer base class, which you have to be a Sorcerer with subclassing, with Scribing, but it's more damage, it's more sustain, it's more mobility. You have overload, which you can see there, and we can burst people with 32k health reliably, really quickly. It is really fun, it's really strong, maybe going to be nerfed that strong. But I want you to get the build to play with it to see how good this actually is, because there's very little counterplay to this, as you'll see. That said, I'm going to go through the skills, everything you need to know, so do stick around for that. And if you like my videos, then likes and comments are greatly appreciated, and do subscribe if you haven't done so. As always, if you want to support the channel, I do have a YouTube and Patreon members area where you get early access to all of the videos, builds, etc., exclusive content, one-page breakdowns, and much more. And I want to stress that if you're not a sorcerer, don't fret, don't panic. There is a Nightblade version already on the channel that is really good. It hits not quite as hard, but it's really close, and you can use that there. That said, I'm going to go through everything you need to know, so do pay close attention, and if you get any questions, let me know down below. So, we are going to look at the class, the skills, all that good stuff. As you'll see for the race, we are going to be focusing on a Khajiit. The Khajiit race is one of the best races for this. Now, the reason we utilize this race is it gives us access to one of the useful passives, Feline Ambush. This is more critical healing and more critical damage. You also get decreased detection radius in stealth. That one is the key. When we are in stealth, you get a status effect on your character called Sneak. And it says melee attacks stun the target when they are hit for the first 2 seconds. This works against players and monsters. You have to be from the flank, from the side, or behind them, but you do get a stun. The problem is, on a bow build, and you can probably work this out, we use range skills. So how do you overcome that problem? Well, let me introduce you to Crystal Weapon. Crystal Weapon is currently programmed to be a melee skill. So you can see where we're going with this. This applies to our light attacks. When we light attack somebody, we proc Crystal Weapon. It's a melee skill, they get stunned. That's what you saw with that Warden at the start, that Sorcerer in Cyrodiil, the person in IC, we're getting the stun because of this interaction. So this is why you need to be a Sorcerer, because we have Dark Magic and Stormcoin. We need both skill lines to make this work. I will touch upon these very shortly and why we do what we do. And so for that reason, the Khajiit, as I was saying, is the best because we can get into Sneak really quickly. People can't see us, so we can get closer to them. And we also get that really peak burst with the crit damage here. If you're not a Khajiit, a Dark Elf is a fantastic second choice. An Orc or a High Elf will also work. Just stack weapon or spell damage, respectively. For the attributes on this build, we're going to go everything into Magicka. And you're probably thinking, this is a stamina sniper. Like, what are you doing? The way in which the damage is calculated in Elder Scrolls Online is it takes your max offensive stat, so Magicka or stamina. Whatever one's higher, it then uses that with your weapon or spell damage to then decide how to scale it. So what this means is we either stack all of Magicka or all of stamina. It doesn't matter which one we do, but that's how you push the damage the highest. And what we're doing is we're putting the Magicka, because most of our skills are Magicka, so it makes it easier to sustain. We don't need that much stam because we use it just to move around and do 1 or 2 skills. So the extra Magicka makes it easier to play. As for the regens, all that stuff, they do change. They do up about an extra 1,000, so we have loads of sustain, so don't panic there. Mundus wise, we are using the Lover Mundus. This gives us more damage. Yes, we can use the Shadow for more penetration, which is great, but I find the Lover is more consistent damage because you don't always crit, and this just helps keep the damage consistent. So you can change it if you wish, but I don't think it's worth it. I would also stress with this Magicka stacking that every 10.5 Magicka is 1 weapon or spell damage. So do factor that in when you look at the food, because you have some choices with the foods. You have a choice of Minstrel Banana Bunny Hash. This is the best damage food because you get loads of magicka. You also get loads of health, helps to stay alive. But a really good alternative is tri-food, such as the melon sauce. So the long thin pastry, it gives you health, magicka and stamina. This makes it easier to move around, play and roll dodge in actual combat and brawling. So if you're going to brawl more with this build, use this one. If you're going to gank, use this one. It is worth noting that you do lose, about 1,000 magicka, which is roughly about 100 weapon damage. It is a bit of a damage loss, not huge, but it is worth noting. As for like Jewels of Mistral and sustain food, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can if you really need to sustain. You will lose some damage, however. Potion wise, we are using the good old unified trusted and tested tri-potions. Tri-potions cover all of the stuff. It's what I do in all of my builds. It's just what you need. If you need health, push a potion. You need magicka, push a potion. You need stam, push a potion. This is good for all bases. That said, if you do want more specialized potions, that is an option too. I'm now going to go through the skills, and with subclassing, I'm going to go through the skill lines while we chose them, and then actually the loadout on the bar. So the skill lines for this one are Dark Magic, Storm Calling, and Shadow. All of these bring lots of benefit to the build. The Dark Magic gives us the Crystal Weapon, which is the stun. The Storm Calling gives us access to our damage buff, Overload, a ranged ultimate. Now, we never have this on a gank build. This is fantastic. We also get some fantastic passives, which I'll get to in a moment. And the Shadow gives us access to the Cloak. You might have also noticed that we have a Scribe skill. And the reason we're a sorcerer is because we get this class mastery, this bonus damage. It does add up. It's lots of free damage, and no mastery has extra damage like this. So with this combined, you want Dark Magic, Storm Calling, and Shadow. These are the best three for this type of playstyle. And as I said, if you are a Nightblade, there is a version already on the channel, so do check that if you haven't already. For the skills themselves, we're using Crystal Weapon. And to help people see the damage, I will buff up so you can see exactly what we're doing. So our Crystal Weapon is 11,400. It hits very, very, very hard. We then have Sundering Soul, which I'll buff up again. So the buffing up you do naturally, but this is also 11,400 with a 4,000 is about 3,000 total extra hit. This combined is about 15,000. It hits them with Major Breach as well. This is physical damage, class mastery, and breach. If you don't have access to the class mastery yet, you can use a Lingering Torment. Alternatively, if you go to the Fighters Guild, you can use Silver Bolts. I would stress, do not morph this, because if you morph it to the AoE one, you get less damage with the CP. We then have Inner Light. As I was explained at the start of the video, we are stacking Max Magicka. This works better than the Fighters Guild passive because the Max Magicka is nicer. We get the Prophecy and stuff here. We also get a Detect, and we can use it if we actually want to cast a skill where we have the Magicka to pay for it. This is just a passive damage boost. Do you need this? No, it is a nicety to have, but you don't actually need this. And you could change this with the Vampire skill line and use something like Blood Frenzy if you wish. I don't feel it's needed as you saw in the gameplay, but it is an option should you want more damage. Talking of Vampire really quickly, we are a stage 3 for the Strike from the Shadows for more damage, the Undeath to stay alive quicker, like longer, and the Darkstalker to move around quickly. This is a necessity, so you have to be a Vampire. We then have Shadowy Disguise, which gives us our crit, it gives us our invisibility on demand. It's a fantastic skill. You also get crit chance whilst it's on either bar, so again, just really, really nice. We then have Streak. This is a stun and a gap close. When we're in trouble, we can streak away, we can survive. This really gets you out of problems. You can also use it to stun tanky players and then use Overload to fill up with crazy, crazy high damage. And buffing up just to see that Overload damage, it is very, very high. The Overload is a nice 12,800. So when you land in this, with Crystal Weapon, with Sundering Soul, all lands at once, it is stupidly high burst. So this works really nice with the Streak because you can make tanky players drop their block and you can burst them really fast as you saw in the gameplay. On the back bar we have Defensive Rune. So Defensive Rune is a skill here as a kind of defense skill. It's a free slot. You can put whatever you like here. You can go with Hurricane for speed. I personally prefer this. If you get hit, you stun people. It's a counter stun. It lasts almost 2 minutes when it's fully leveled up. which means as you're moving around, you just put this on you and you've got ages before it goes off. If you try to kill somebody and you don't, you can then use that. It will proc automatically. They'll get stunned. You can escape. That's why this is here. If you do kill them, it's still on there because it lasts 2 minutes. So it's a really good skill. We then have Resolve and Vigor for a good heal over time. So with our damage buff on, this is 18,000, almost 19. We have Healing Contingency, another Scribe skill. This gives you an extra, 10,000 burst heal here with an extra 2,000 damage and some sustains. You might be thinking, if I don't have access to Scribing yet, or I don't have the scripts yet, what can you do? You can go to the Restoration skill line. I am still leveling it up, but you can get Blessing of Protection, which is a very similar amount of healing, which means you can use Healing Contingency and change it for Blessing of Protection. You can change Sunder and Soul for Silver Bolts, so you can still use this without Scribing. It's not as good, but it is an option there. We then have on the front bar Channel Deceleration. This is on the Sigic Order skill line. As you use this, you can move really fast, you get bonus crit damage, it's really nice. We have Crit Surge. When we do damage, we get healing. It has to be crit damage, but it's passive healing. It also gives our damage buff. And we have Overload on the back bar, but it can be whatever you like. I personally prefer Overload on both bars simply because it makes it easier to keep it on and off if there's lag. But if you're going to try and min-max it or you don't have lag, what you can do is go all the way down to the support skill line, get Barrier, get Magicka Aid. There's an extra 10% Magicka Recovery, which is quite useful. Is it needed? No, but it is an option should you wish. Or you could use something like Temporal Guard from the Sigic Order, but you do need to level it up, which does take some time. For the passives themselves, what's really worth noticing is the Storm Calling ones, because you get 5% damage here, and you get 10% from Amplitude. The more health the target has, the more damage you do. So if they're at full health, you do 10% more damage. If they're at 0 health, you do 0 damage. This is free damage against tanky players. This is free damage all of the time. And Expert Mage is also free damage. What you see on the front bar, we have a few of these skills, so we do get a nice 324 weapon and spell damage for free, which is fantastic. You will ask me, what about the Fighter's Guild instead of Overload on the front bar? I have done the testing. You do get slightly more damage with Expert Mage than you do with the Fighter's Guild passive, so you do still want Overload here. It is more damage. As for the other ones, they're kind of mid. I would stress that with the Shadow, you need all of these but Dark Veil. This does nothing for your build, so don't get this. And with the Dark Magic, you only really need one in Exploitation. This is Minor Prophecy. You don't need that 20 seconds. As soon as you're in combat, you do damage. They're normally dead in 10 seconds, so you can just rinse and repeat. So if you have the skill points, go and put it in. I don't, as you can see. And the persistence, you don't really need it. You can get it if you wish. The only other passives I will stress that you need to get is all of your medium ones. I am missing some heavy armor ones here. You do need all your vampire ones for stage 1, 2 and 3, so these ones here. And if you haven't leveled it up yet, get the Lagerda main, get the improved hiding. It does help your sustain. Is it needed? No, but it is very, very useful. I still need to level it up on this character, but I would still suggest doing it yourself. And then with the alchemy, do get the medicinal use. It is worth getting. It is still decent enough. We're now going to go through the champion points and what that all looks like. CP wise, it's pretty straightforward. We need Fighting Finesse for more crit damage, Master Arms for more damage done to people, Weapons Expert for more light attack or overload damage, and then Deadly Aim for more single target. These are all damage. The Weapons Expert you can change, but I do think this is worth it because we do heavy attack on the combo and we also use overload. For the red ones, we have Celerity for speed, Bastion to do more damage against shielded players, Pain's Refuge to do more just mitigation, and Sustain by Suffering for more sustain. If you want, you can change this though, and I would suggest considering in the red CB that you go over and look at either a defense one, so like Fortified up here, or Boundless Vitality for more health, or you can consider Rejuvenation, which give you more sustain. A really good option is something like Slippery, so you get a free CC break which can save your life, so this is also worth considering as an additional option. For the green ones, you want to get War Mount, Gifted Rider, Steed's Blessing and Sustaining Shadows. The only one that really impacts gameplay is Sustaining Shadows and Steed's Blessing. This gives you loads of speed whilst you're not in combat, and the Shadows one means you can sneak a lot cheaper. I'd also suggest, which is worth looking at, this brand new one over here called Discipline Artisan. It gives you extra EXP, so grab this. It's been added recently. I have missed it a few times on some of my builds, so do get this if you can. It does help. Even if you don't need the XP, it's just free XP. The final thing to go through are the sets, what we're doing, how they all work. And if you like what I do in my videos, just likes and comments are really appreciated. And if you haven't done so, do subscribe. But for the sets, what are we doing on this? We have Shattered Fate. Shattered Fate is a fantastic set. Now, I have tested on the PTS for like a 5-6 hour stream a couple weeks back. I've also been testing this on live for the past 2 weeks. Shattered Fate is the best damage one for what we need. It gives you the most amount of offensive damage. I've tried Oak Fathers, I've tried Tarnished Nightmare, I've tried Way of Fire, I've looked at Venomous Smite for like some dot builds. Shattered Fate came out on top every single time. The only time Oak Father is better is if the target has low base resistance, because you get weapon and spell damage. But at that point they're going to die anyway. So this was just the most consistent damage boost, so I would go with this route. You also want Sharpen on the bow, and you want a fire damage glyph. The reason we use a fire damage glyph is because there are vampires and you do bonus fire damage to them, so it's free damage if they're a vampire, which most people are. That said, you can run poisons if you wish, so there are an option, but I prefer the consistent damage of the glyph. For the back bar set, we have Dial Up Bray, and this is a great sword Precise. Ideally, this would be something like Powered for more healing, but Precise is still worth using. And this is here because it procs this set on the back bar. So when we turn it on, Dial Up Bray procs, we now get bonus recovery every second, so 660 every second, or 1200 regen. What this means is when we're sneaking around on the back bar, we have 1000 magical recovery plus 1200, so 2200 now. If we proc on our minor regen buff from our contingency, which we can do nice and easy, we have roughly 2400 now regen, and with a potion, we now have roughly 2600 regen. So we have lots of magical recovery, and again, that's same for stamina, lots of stamina recovery. So when you're in combat and you're waiting, you can just sit down like this, you can put on your cloak, and we have enough sustain to keep this on forever without moving, and you can just regen all of your resources for free. It's a really good way to bounce back, even in the middle of combat. The other advantage of Dial Up Bray is that it allows us to get back into sneak really quick on this fourth piece. We then have Anthemil's Construct. When we do a fully charged heavy attack, we do this massive attack of it shoots an axe, it hits really, really hard. The issue with the set in the past is that people could dodge it. So what would happen is you'd do this, it will go in the air, people will roll dodge and stay alive. But as you saw in the gameplay, the crystal weapon causes the stun from sneak. That means they can't dodge this set, this then always hits them. It's lots of damage, so on the opening attack this is really good. We want magic across all of the armor pieces, as you'll see in a moment, and you want divines on all of the armor pieces too. For the loadout, we are using as much medium as we can get. I am missing a few traits, so my shoulders should be medium, but they're still decent enough. And you want Construct on the helmet and the shoulders, and you fill the pieces with Shattered Fate with one piece Dalek on the belt. We then have Dial Up Bray Amulet and Ring. These are both Swift. I used to run the Wild Hunt Mythic, but I changed to the Monomyth Mythic as of this patch because it's more damage, and with this much Swift, we get more speed overall. So there's more speed and more damage. If you don't have access to this, Wild Hunt with Infused on all of the jewelry is a good alternative, or Markham with some Swift, and you can find a balance for you. I would recommend using all magic damage on this because you get this bonus recovery. This does work while you sneak, and that's kind of the build. That's the sets, that's the skills, that's everything you need to know. I appreciate some people want a more one-page summary, so here it is. Here is a superstar, and what I'm going to then do is just give a very brief round off to the build, pros, cons, tips, tricks, all that good stuff, whilst there's some gameplay in the background. I will use this opportunity to say a massive thanks to all of the YouTube and Patreon members who do support. It really helps out. As with the gameplay itself, as you can see here, we are in Imperial City and we are trying to kill people really, really fast. When we do get hit with Dawnbreakers, we have the ability to streak away and get into cloak, as you see, as an escape. In this duel, you will see we have really, really high burst. This guy has Rallying Cries. He's got a meta build. He is tanky, and our opening salvo almost kills him. It does half his health. But then we have Overload. So we can do Overload, Light Attack, Crystal Weapon, and he dies really, really fast. What's also really nice with the build is that this does work in serial. As you can see here, we almost one-shotted that person and we followed up with the light attack crystal weapon. We are also going for this person, so we're doing the Sundering Soul with the heavy attack crystal weapon, loads of damage, and we're repeating that combo. In this clip here, I'm against another Nightblade who tried to gank me. My defensive rune procs, so I do get the counter stun. I then land some really high damage. I then dodge some of these attacks and light attack crystal weapon. That light attack crystal weapon still procs in that order, so it's really good to get the bonus damage. And here's another duel against somebody with Rallying Cry. He is a tanky person. This person was really hard to kill, but as I was saying with the overload spam, you can hit really hard, 3 overloads, and he died, even though he was blocking. Here's a few highlights from some Battleground matches, which all of this gameplay is on the channel with a full gameplay commentary. But here you can see that we're essentially heavy attacking, Sundering Soul, crystal weapon. The combo is heavy attack whilst the crystal weapon's active. We then push the cloak, and we also use the Sundering Soul to follow up. Even against players who are tanky, the full up damage is really high, as you can see, and we just rinse and repeat. On this part of the keep, I was able to take a high point, and I'm just heavy attacking, just putting some damage into people. That person was died at the back, but I hit the other person, which is why I didn't get the kill. So I'm going to focus on this person on the left, and this is essentially how the build plays. You're moving around at range, you're hitting from behind, and you're heavy attacking, you're trying to kill them. I will go through the actual buff combo, so if you are curious, this is what this looks like. In order to buff up, you push your defensive rune, it lasts for ages, your crit surge, channel acceleration, and then contingency. You swap bar and you move around really fast for some time. When you find the target, you move behind them, you push crystal weapon, cloak, heavy attack. Whilst your heavy attack's firing, you then push the Sundering Soul. It all lands at once, it does loads of damage. What you'll see in a moment is that this is exactly what I do, and this works very, very well. So you can see I'm going to charge a heavy attack in a second, get the overload going, use all the ult, then I'm going to go for my cloak, drop there's a heavy attack, and then I hit that person and almost killed him. So the proof is in the pudding. It hits hard, it's really, really fun. I'm going to just speed forward a bit more so you can see we can get people here who are like a really tanky person, overload spam. You can see in this Battleground clip that we hit really, really hard. So here's this person here. He almost had full health and he's now almost dead. He healed really hard. He's a heal bot, we killed him still. So that's the build, that's how it plays. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you found this all useful. As always, I'll catch you next video or stream. A massive thanks to the members. Take care. Bye.